who is Texas's bigger rival? Is it Texas A&M or is it Oklahoma? Because I think this is a debate, and it's going to be very interesting. I want to know what you have to say.
I think the answer is generational in a lot of ways. I think there are folks where, like, based on how good A&M was for a generation, that really sets it for them. I think it's so different how I view those two rivals, right? Do I hate them both? Absolutely, right? I hate them through everything. I think Oklahoma is one of those. Like, it is a respectful rivalry. It's a rival where they've been good at all the things I want Texas to be good at for a very long time. Texas has this massive softball rivalry with them. And even in Texas's best year in softball, OU beat them in the national championship, right? Even in some of Texas's best years in football, Oklahoma was the big roadblock for them in those things, right? And again, there's nothing like the Cotton Bowl in Dallas in October. There's nothing like that experience. And it's fun. I think A&M is more adversarial in a lot of ways, where it's very much a hatred kind of rivalry, where we just deep down hate each other, where at Thanksgiving it's a proximity thing. We see each other at the office, we see each other at Thanksgiving dinner, at family gatherings. You go to church with somebody who's wearing an A&M polo and you just want to wrestle them in the parking lot, right? Whatever it might be. That's never happened to me. I don't wrestle people in church, but like, that's the conversation, right? One of my best friends on the face of this earth, A&M grad, and we give each other hell constantly about it. We have a group thread, a group text of me and a couple of A&M fans and a couple of Texas fans, and we are ruthless in there. So I think it's a different type of rivalry for me. I think there's that competitive rivalry with Oklahoma, and it's just some deep down hate with A&M. We just hate each other, and that's what college sports is all about.
Yeah, so I'm going to compare it to, like, there's a rival you have at your school that you don't really like them, but you kind of respect them, to where for Oklahoma, and I think A&M is just like the stepchild. They're not even a stepbrother, they're stepchild. Like, you just don't like them. Like, this guy's kind of an asshole. Don't really like being his dad, but whatever. That's how I feel. And this is from, again, you're in Texas, have to live with that. I'm in Ohio, I don't have to deal with it, but everything I see online, I'm going to be honest, I had a guy on here from Texas A&M about a year ago. I was nice to him on here. Kind of an ass, but he was. And that's the thing. That's the kind of the vibe I get from Texas A&M is they have this holier than now attitude that they accuse Texas of, with none of the trophies or accolades to back it up. Like, they have nothing, and they talk about, oh, we're Texas A&M, we're proud of this and this. You don't have anything to be proud of. You're not good at anything. So I don't understand it. Whereas Oklahoma, I respect. They are a damn good football program. And I said this on the channel with Mark, on his main channel and on here, and I'm going to get hate for it again. Oklahoma is a better all-time football program than Texas. They are. If you look at the numbers, you look at the draft picks, you look at all that, they are a better all-time football program than Texas. You know what the best thing about all-time is? We can catch up. There's still plenty of time to go in all-time because it never ends. So we can catch up with that. But if you're ranking football programs all time, Oklahoma is probably third or fourth. Texas is like seventh. Texas A&M isn't even in the discussion. Texas A&M is like 50th. So it's one of those things. I will always despise A&M more, or I should say this. I will always hate Texas A&M more, but I have a respect for Oklahoma that will continue to grow. And also, I don't like them, but if they're playing in a football game, national championships on the line, I had to root. You're going to make me root because that's how I do this too. When looking at it, I'm rooting for Oklahoma. I'm not rooting for Texas A&M. I don't want them to win at anything. I despise them.
I mean, are they playing each other in that situation?
Yes, they're playing each other.
If so, I'm cheering for a sinkhole, right? Or a fire or a bomb threat or something. Nobody gets hurt, right? But I just don't want the game to happen and somehow everybody loses, right? That's how I feel in that situation. But I say, why does Texas not float away into the Gulf? Because Oklahoma sucks, right? That's how I live my life. It is 7:46 p.m. in God's Central Time, and Oklahoma still sucks, right? That's how I live my life. But again, like we said, Oklahoma has been, and again, this is probably going to be one of those things people get mad at, from a consistency standpoint, from a never being terrible standpoint. Up until 2 years ago, Oklahoma has had one down period. They've had two down periods now. Texas had the last decade prior to Steve Sarkisian and even the first year of the Steve Sarkisian era, right? So we can talk about their level of success, but I think that sums it up really well, is that Oklahoma has earned that level of, I don't like you, but at least you're good at something, right? At least you're good. Whereas, and again, A&M has a lot of growing to do in that area. And again, you can tweet at me or you could, post at me or whatever you want. But like when your trophy room is empty, right? There's nothing to like Texas has more SEC championship football appearances in 1 year than A&M has in the decade plus they were in the conference. Like the proof is in the pudding, right? Texas is just going to, even in your best basketball year in recent memory, Texas still beats you, right? Like that is just how, right? Like that's just how it goes. Again, they're going to be in the comments and that's fine, right? Drive up our engagement. But when push comes to shove, it is a hated rival, and Texas has historically and recently been the better school.
No, 100%. Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's gone back and forth with Oklahoma football wise. Over the years, it has never really gone back and forth with A&M. Like we lead that series by way more than we lead the Oklahoma series. So I think, I think it's obvious for someone like me, and I agree. I think it's generational because if you're older, like 50s, 60s, you're probably saying Texas A&M. I think if you're younger than 50 years old, you're probably saying Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But yeah, 77-37. Like it's not close. Whereas Oklahoma and Texas is 64-51. It's pretty close. Recently, Oklahoma's beat us more.
Does that have something to do with not playing A&M during the worst 12 years of Texas football history? Yes, right. Would it be closer? But that's neither here nor there. They are the ones that left. We didn't go anywhere. They left. So again, that's fine. That's on y'all.
And heck, give them the other 12. They're still like 25, 30 games behind, even with that. So it doesn't really matter either way.
Yeah.
And then, I wish we would have got that shutout because that would have been beautiful to shut them out the first time. But it is what it is. We did beat them, and we should beat them again this year. We should. We'll see what happens.
Going to Kyle Field and winning the first one felt good. Keep holding that L for another year. Make it 13.
It did feel good.